Emmy Victor, and this is Energizing the Economy. On the eve of a national election, Americans are looking to the candidates for a clear message on how to put more money into their pocketbooks, emphasizing a strong domestic energy policy may see significant savings for households looking to navigate the COVID-19 pandemic. Our guest is former U.S. Representative Jean Green, who was a member of the Subcommittee on Energy and Power to discuss how the energy sector can be utilized in the economic recovery. Hi, Jean, and welcome to the program.
How you doing? Glad to be here.
Doing well, thank you. My first question for you, how has COVID-19 affected the discussion around the need for energy? Additionally, how has COVID-19 highlighted the role that Texas plays in keeping energy prices low for all Americans?
Well, in Texas, we've always historically, since a century ago, with oil and gas, and we used to burn off gasoline, petroleum, but now we see that it's a market for it, and it's actually one of the fuels that we need to go to a carbon-free energy. Wind, solar is great, but you can't get there unless you have natural gas to have a backup for those generations. Coal is losing its focus, but it's easy to do it with natural gas, and that's what we produce. And we also can, in our chemical industry along the Gulf Coast, turn it into plastics that we use in our own country, but we can also export to other countries.
Why shouldn't all of the above energy strategy be important to Democrats? Do you think it's a problem that Democrats are increasingly perceived as anti-business? And how can Democrats avoid being characterized this way?
Well, I would hope. I'm a Democrat from Texas, and energy is one of the strongest issues in our economy. If the price of gasoline, the price of electricity is so high because we're not producing as much, then that will hurt the economy in general, whether it's building cars or educating our children or anything else. So that's why we need an all of the above, and that includes natural gas and oil.
How have oil and gas exports benefited the U.S. from an economic and national security perspective? What is Texas's role in exporting oil and gas? And what is the role of the U.S. in increasingly exporting clean natural gas to developing economies?
Those of us who can remember when we had embargoes in the 70s from folks who were hurting our economy, but because of the success of geology, fracking, and we've been able to produce. In fact, I think the United States at different times has been the biggest producer of natural gas. And we use all we can, but we're willing to sell it to other countries, which builds relationships and helps their economies.
What are some ways energy companies are supporting local economies and helping people of color and taking conscious steps to help low-income Americans?
And I know I represented a district that had 5 refineries and more chemical plants that I could count. And whenever I visited those plants, these were high-paying jobs and very integrated. I represented a district that was 65% Hispanic, Mexican-American, and they were working at these same jobs as Anglo and African-Americans, and those are good-paying jobs. And if we want to hurt those, some other country will have those jobs and we'll be paying for whatever produce they're sending to us. So that's why energy independence, that we can produce our own and then sell what we don't use to other countries.
What are some of the steps Texas is taking as the oil and gas industry becomes increasingly conscious of reducing the impacts of climate change?
Our country companies have recognized it. And over the last few years, and are making investments in, carbon-free, but also seeing how they can eliminate or control more the emissions from the plants. And we're doing that with pipelines and everything else to make sure they're safer, and they also make sure that product gets to where we need it.
All right, Jean, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you.
And I hope you'll all join us next time for our series, Energizing the Economy.